Good morning. I am Kevin Price. Delighted to be with you. Going to spend some time talking to you about you and your business. And as usual, I got a lot to talk about, and going to get straight to it with my good friend Paul Carroll with an excellent firm out there called Efficient Wealth Management. And I love what you guys do. Love having you on the program. And Paul, tell us a little bit about your practice, which I think is, I consider you a thought leader in what you do. We've got some great content, including videos by you over at our sister news site, usdailyreview.com. And I'm delighted that we get to have someone with your insight as part of our team. But I also love the guest you bring on. Tell us about your guest today. And about about your firm too. Sorry, go right ahead.
Absolutely. Well, as you know, Efficient Wealth Management is a boutique wealth management firm based here in the Woodlands, Texas. And what we do is working with a team of experts and adopting a consultative approach is we not only help our clients protect their wealth, but also mitigate their taxes, take care of their heirs, protect their assets from being unjustly taken, and maximize the impact of charitable planning if that's important to them. Today, I'm really excited to introduce a gentleman called Ken Proctor, and he's a Vistage chair. Now, Vistage is a global organization that helps business leaders, business owners truly excel and share notes, build their business. So, Ken, welcome aboard today.
Ken, we're delighted, glad to have you on. Tell us a little bit more about yourself and Vistage.
Sure. So my elevator speech, which I have refined over the years, basically sounds like this. If you were to ask me what I do for a living, I say I turn business owners, CEOs, and presidents into people. And what I mean by that is when you are a business owner or president, anybody in the C-suite, you have to act a certain way in front of your board, in front of your leadership team, in front of your employees. And quite often, you are so secure in your position that, in all honesty, you sometimes have a little bit of trepidation about, oh my gosh, am I making the right decision? Is this what I should be doing? You can't show any signs of vulnerability when you are in that position. So Vistage provides an opportunity for you to come and to talk to other CEOs and members of leadership teams to be authentic.
Very good. Paul?
Well, Ken, tell us your story and how you became a Vistage chair.
Sure. So I was in the footwear business for 25 years and started, led, and eventually sold my own company back about 9 years ago. And, you know, I remember walking out of the attorney's office after I sold my company, half expecting, balloons to float down from the ceiling. That didn't happen. I sold my company on a Friday, and on Monday I was really bored. It was a good amount of money, but not enough to retire. And I started thinking about what I wanted to do. Wasn't really sure. So I hired a career coach, and after a lot of personality tests and a lot of deep conversations, he said, you need to be a coach. So I explored two opportunities, one being Vistage. And I found out that if you're going to be a Vistage chair, you have to care deeply about your people. And it was the business model so resonated with me that I applied to be a Vistage chair and was able to get through training. There's a very high failure rate, but I made it, launched a group, and now have 17 members in my group.
And where's your group located?
Well, we're sort of all over the place, Kevin. We have 4 members up in the Woodlands. We have 11 members down in Houston, and then we have 1 member in Katy and 1 member just south of Hobby Airport.
Very good. Paul?
Well, and actually, I understand that Ken is opening a new Vistage group, specifically in Woodlands, and he'll have a presentation. It's on the 29th. Is that correct? You want to tell us about that?
Sure. It's at the Woodlands Marriott, the Woodlands Waterway Marriott. It's on the 29th. It starts at 7:30 in the morning. We're going to have a speaker. We're going to have essentially a version of a Vistage meeting where we will actually process an issue. And I'm going to ask all the attendees to tell us what's taking up the most space in your head currently, what's challenging you the most, and we're going to go forward and process the issue as if we were in a real Vistage meeting.
Yeah, very good. By the way, what is your website?
It's really Vistage.com, but you can certainly get to me through Vistage.com by typing in my name, and a link will come up.
Okay. Paul?
So Ken's going to hate me for this, but whenever I think of his old business, I think of the show Kinky Boots. I don't know if you've ever seen that. It's a great comedy. But Ken, tell us a Vistage success story. And before you answer that, you know, I'd like to add, when he says processing a problem, he means it's a safe haven for CEOs and business owners to come into a room with 5 to 10 other business owners, and anything in that room is confidential. And it's a great opportunity to say, hey, I got a problem with this employee. You guys got any input on how you would solve this problem? But tell us a success story, Ken.
Absolutely. You're exactly right, Paul. We provide a very safe, confidential environment. And I will tell you a story that came from early on in our group, and I did get the permission from this particular member as long as I left this person's name out, which I will. So she had an interesting challenge. She is running a fairly substantial business, and she's the owner, and every Friday she would take her vice president of sales out to lunch, and they would discuss the challenges of the week ahead, things like that. She would buy her lunch, he would buy his lunch, but she noticed that every time he bought his lunch, he ordered a water but would walk over to the Coke machine and fill it up with Sprite. Seems somewhat inconsequential, but this went on for about 3 months. And finally, it bothered her, and she talked to the guy about it, and he said, hey, look, you know, I'm not going to pay $2.25 for something that cost this business 6 cents, and everybody does it. I'm not going to be the only sucker that doesn't. Well, this really bothered this particular member, and quite honestly, she had been complicit in the last 3 months of allowing this to happen. And she came to the group, and she said, what do I do with this guy? I mean, he's well-respected in the company, accounts like him, employees like him, but this is really sitting in my craw, and I don't like this. So we asked a whole bunch of questions, and we provided a robust debate. A lot of people said fire him because he's disingenuous. But you can't really fire him because, you know, what is he doing wrong with regard to the company? And so what ultimately happened was the suggestion was made by one of our members, why don't you go back and audit his expense reports? Well, that's what happened. And sure enough, what this person noticed was that every time this particular VP of sales traveled out of state, he would, on his expense reports, under the miscellaneous column, put in an entry of $12, $18, $22, things like that, always under $25 and never a receipt. The only way that he coded it under miscellaneous was DOP. DOP. Well, our member didn't know what that meant. And so she called him in. And what it meant was drinks on plane. And the company had a policy that we don't pay for alcohol unless you're entertaining clients. And he knew this, but he did it anyway. And that was not part of her core beliefs, and she cut him loose. And because she figured, hey, you know what, if he's doing this, perhaps he's being disingenuous in other areas of his job. But she needed a group to help process that particular issue to come up with a solution. And that's what happened.
Wow, that's fantastic, and that's a great story. You know, and it's an old adage: people who are not faithful in the big things, in the small things, are not likely to be faithful in the big things. And so there's certainly that lesson there. Ken Proctor, he's a Vistage chair, and of course Paul Carroll, he's a regular contributor on The Price of Business at efficientwealthmanagement.com. About a minute left. Can you wrap it up for us, Paul?
Absolutely. So I've been in Vistage for less than a year, and one of the things that really is meaningful for me is the values orientation of the organization. The orientation of how you bring values, what's right and wrong, into an organization in such a way that I like the term enlightened self-interest. By bringing values into our organization at an even higher level, we've just improved our profitability while also the pleasant nature of looking at our firm. And it's a great thing that Vistage has done for us.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think it's fantastic, and thanks to both of you. Great topic. By the way, do want to remind the listener, best content here will show up over there at usdailyreview.com. While there, like it on Facebook, follow it on Twitter. We're going to have more for you right after this on The Price of Business.